absolute banger of a fight coming up this weekend. We have a possible fight of the night between a couple of guys who have been through the ringer, to the top of the mountain, to the bottom of it, and back again, between Cub Swanson and Darren Elkins. You might know Kevin, maybe not as Kevin Luke Swanson, but as Cub. Is it Cubber Lang? Is it the Killer? I don't care. Because for Cub Swanson, the guy's a walking performance bonus machine. And when I look at Cub Swanson and everything that he's done in his career, and I match it up to Darren Elkins, A, surprised this isn't a rematch. B, surprised that Darren Elkins doesn't actually have more bonuses than he does on his record. He has 3 performance bonuses, and that's it. That's it. Meerschaert, Bektic, and then his last 2 fights, you look at it, I mean, those were crazy. Luis Eduardo Garagori and Derek Minner, but Minner here is a performance bonus and his win over Michael Johnson. Those are the 3 performance bonuses that he has. Because peppered in there, and listen, somewhere in my mind it got locked away in a vault, I forgot that Darren Elkins was a decision fighter for years. It's kind of crazy, right?
It really is, but you have to go all the way back to like when he fought Dennis Bermudez, even before that, when he was on...
That guy was a banger.
He was, but Darren Elkins at one point almost got an interim title shot. Like, people don't remember this. I'm going to tie this together. I vividly remember Cub Swanson right after the Artem Lobov fight. He said he was going to take some time off. He was becoming a dad. He said, hey... there was a chance when Frankie Edgar fought for the title that they were going to get Cub Swanson to do it. He was on a win streak too. He was in the media a lot. He had just had a main event against Lobov, which doesn't really mean you were in title shot, but he also had that crazy fight of the year against Doo Ho Choi. It was hot boy summer for Cub Swanson back in 2017. Goodness, that was a while ago now. But I really remember this. Darren Elkins was also on a winning streak, and Cub Swanson was like, they almost gave Darren Elkins the title shot over me. Now, they ended up going with Frankie Edgar. It was sort of a weird situation, but still, how wild would that have been that Darren Elkins could have gotten a title shot instead of Cub Swanson just a few years ago? This is the wild thing about Cub Swanson. I remember getting on here and saying, hey, he had the ACL surgery. I'm really going to worry about what he's going to look like when he comes back. But he's proven to me that he really is the exact same fighter he was before he left. And I think that's something we have to say. When we brought up Matt Sayles and his knee injury before about, how's he going to look like when he came back? Matt Sayles was never the fighter that Cub Swanson was pre-knee injury.
Cub Swanson never had a knee injury and then weighed 250 pounds either and admitted to it.
Exactly. But that's the thing about Swanson. Yes, he was injured, but you have to remember where he was before he got injured. This isn't just like a bench player then getting hurt and falling out of the rotation completely. Cub Swanson was like a borderline all-star in the UFC. He's kind of in that category of, will he make the UFC Hall of Fame? Not unless like an individual fight gets him in, but he's in that hardcore Hall of Fame with Jim Miller, with Joe Lozon. Like, if you like MMA, and if you've ever watched MMA, you probably have some great experiences watching Cub Swanson fight. I don't know what that has to do with this fight, but this is what I keep on going back to when I try to think about the X's and O's. If you can hit Darren Elkins once, you can hit Darren Elkins twice. He's made a career off guys who can't go further than that, though. If you can only hit him once and twice, then your cardio falls off a cliff. That's when Darren Elkins can bring himself back into a fight. With Swanson, I do worry about his susceptibility, especially of getting submitted at this stage of his career. It's just, they're going to talk about his black belt, but listen, it's a black belt, we'll say. He's been submitted enough. I worry about him on the mat, but I really do think that Swanson's steady gas tank and good punching power is enough to recreate what Ricardo Lamas did against Darren Elkins.
Cub Swanson has 10 fight of the night bonuses in the UFC and 2 performance bonuses. Crazy to think of it that way. And I mean, I look at this, for Darren Elkins from 2011 on, he had 9 wins by decision, 5 of them by finish. If you look at it from Alex Behunen's point of view over on Twitter, you know him, you love him, you see him out there. He does those humanizing athletes things. And I looked at it for Cub Swanson, his favorite knockout of all time in MMA is his knockout win over Daniel Pineda, who almost finished him in the first round and then fell off his own cardio cliff. And his favorite movie is a movie that has this quote. And this is, like, I didn't even write this one in the notes, but it's this. And you're going to know what movie it is. Those eggs were a lie, Steven.
Nacho Libre?
A lie! They give me no nutrients!
I like it.
Yeah, so his favorite movie is Nacho Libre. I love that movie. My wife hates it, but I think it's one of the best movies ever made. It's incredibly underrated. And so when I look at this fight, Nacho Libre aside, Cub Swanson, I look at his last 2 fights. He got Giga kicked to the body and finished. You hate to see that. It was Donald Cerrone-esque was the drop. And then he had the fight against Daniel Pineda where, again, we were critical of the knee injury being over. He was over 36 at the time, so it was worrisome. We went back and forth on it. We picked Pineda, and then obviously Swanson wins the fight. But he got beat in the first round. He comes back in the second round. You love that out of Cub Swanson. The fight before that, he went strike for strike against Crone Gracie. It was a great fight. It was a fight of the night. But in that one, it was really tight. For Darren Elkins, the last two, he beats Derek Minner, who, unfortunately for Minner, kind of had some poor fight IQ decisions his last time out here, last weekend. And he beats Luis Eduardo Garagori, a guy who, honest to goodness, I go, how good was he really? But in that fight, man, Darren Elkins looked great in every aspect of that fight.
He really did, but the problem is, I think of the 10 minutes we've talked about Garagori on this channel, about 9 of them have been very negative, and I'd say 1 have been complimentary. It's just weird to see Darren Elkins at this stage of his career, because he was near the top of the division. He was a borderline top 10, top 5 fighter at one point, and then he did fall on hard times. It's nice to see
so
that
was
he's...
Cub Swanson. He lost 4 in a row. He fought Frankie Edgar years ago.
I'm going to get to it with both guys.
All right.
The difference, though, is that Darren Elkins does feel more weathered to me at this stage of his career, and I do worry about Elkins' ability to eat a big shot from a power puncher. Now, I know the flip side, Cub Swanson got TKO in the first round in his last fight. Against Giga Chikadze, quite possibly the best Muay Thai fighter in the division, and a guy whose striking might only be second to Max Holloway in the division, and maybe Yair's better than him. But like those would be it's a very short list of guys who might be a better striker than Giga Chikadze. I just don't know how Darren Elkins is going to look at the striking range in this fight, because normally he's able to just sort of volume his way into a takedown attempt. It is quite sloppy what he does do on the feet, but when he knows he can get it to the ground, he can just... Because he is a bit of a finisher, but this is the truth. He will positionally dominate his way to a good position and then try to rain down that ground and pound. I think if he was a bit more of a submission threat, that would be a better chance for Elkins to win. But when he's going to create that separation of rain his own ground and pound blows, that's going to be Swanson's ability to scramble and actually get off the bottom. What I don't like out of Swanson is his ability to grapple for long periods of time, but when he is given those abilities, just sort of make that one quick move, try to explode, and force a scramble, that is where he does shine, especially in the grappling. So I think there's an area for Darren Elkins to win. Again, we wouldn't have this as a fight of the night if we thought it was going to be one-way traffic, but I do like Cub Swanson in this matchup.
Swanson opened a minus 155 favorite. He's a minus 210 or thereabouts. If you look at the flip side for Darren Elkins, open a plus 135. He's a plus 170 at this point. Over under on Tapology votes. Surprise to us, there to you. I'm going to set it at, I'll give you a chance here. I'm going to say 60% Cub Swanson.
They better be over.
All right, there you go. 909 total votes, 75% for Cub Swanson, 76% by decision. For the 25% that have Elkins, 58% decision, 20% submission, 15% by knockout. Those don't add up at all, but I'm reading them correctly, I assure you. Matt, in this fight, Cub Swanson's got bad takedown defense, and Darren Elkins likes to take guys down over and over and over again.
You are right, but Darren Elkins showed in the Ricardo Lamas fight that he just can't take damage all that well if you are able to put it on him in a volume type of way. Now, can Elkins eat that one big shot like he did against Volkanovski, sort of get his way back into the fight with some of the wrestling exchanges just to clear the cobwebs and then get back into the striking? I think he can. But when you look even back to the Meerschaert Bektic fight, I know he won that fight. It's the greatest comeback of all time, but still, listen to me for the first 2.5 minutes. He's eating a lot of sustained damage, and even in the Lamas fight, in the first round, he gets hurt quite a bit, even though he has a couple good areas. In the second round, he gets hurt even more. And then in the third round, the ref's just kind of forced to stop it due to a combination of the scar tissue on his face getting cut up and the fact that he is getting hit quite a bit. I just worry about Elkins against power punchers on the feet. I know against Michael Johnson, he was able to look good, but that was Johnson later on in his career in a weight class he didn't really belong at. I'm going to pick Killer Cub Swanson, but I do think this is going to be a great fight.
Swanson at a 2-1, and I'm right on the fence, so I'm kind of close to Elkins. I've got Swanson for the volume ability, and again, he's the type of guy. We mix in punches, elbows, things in close against Elkins. Now you worry about the takedown even more, but I do like Swanson in those exchanges and in this fight. So both of us going with Cub Swanson here, but if you can make a strong case for either guy, we are listening to you with open ears. So let us know down below in that comment section. We get some great fights coming up on the rest of this card. Diego Faje's taking on Mateusz Gamrot in the main event. Derek Lewis taking on Chris Daukaus. You're not going to want to miss. Keep it locked in with Fight Night Picks, as we always say. Let's get into it.